everybody. Happy New Year. Welcome to the Light Gate. We are coming to you live from the beautiful city of New Orleans in Louisiana at the United Public Radio Network at 107.7 FM. We are also coming to you live from the UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 105.3 FM. We are on Roku, we are on Facebook, we are on YouTube, and wherever your radio can pick us up. If you can't see anything that we might describe as a picture, we will do our best to give you a good description. And I'm so happy y'all are here. You can see that we already have guests in the room, and I'm going to Preston, take it away.
Thanks, Dolly. Thanks, everyone, for joining us on this amazing New Year's Day or evening. No, well, it's New Year's Day evening. Live Q&A, first show of the year. I'm so excited. I forget what number show this is, but we're up to almost 40 now, 36 or 37. 36. Super excited.
Oh, no, wait, not 36.
Yeah, we're very, very close to 40. So you can see our guests tonight are both familiar faces. They've been on the Light Gate before, Martin twice. Michelle was our premiere episode. But first, let me say hi to a few of you in chat because I so appreciate you all showing up for us. Hello, Michael. Hope you're having a great New Year's Day. Hello, Brian. Yes, having a wonderful holiday. I hope you are too. Who else do we got in here? Bim Jim. Hello. Keep those questions coming, guys, because we're going to want to have lots of questions. Ruth Kleiber, Happy New Year. Hello, Dawn. Yes, we have absolutely wonderful guests tonight. Hello, Robert. Thank you for joining us. And Vivra La Vie and just a Gen X dirtbag baby. I love that moniker. Always makes me smile.
Say it 3 times in a row.
Mr. B, Truth Friends Seeker, Cosmic TB, hello. Okay, and namaste. Thank you so much. That is absolutely unbelievably generous of you. I am so thankful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hello, Susan. Thank you for joining us. Susan is a familiar name. She was a chapter in my book, Humanoids and High Strangeness. I forgot to introduce you, Dolly. Dolly Safran, my co-host, just so you know. She's joining us as well. Who else do we have here? Well, we should probably just get started. Linda Catlett, hello. Happy New Year. John P. Adventures. Real Badger, hello. You always make it first to my videos, so awesome to see you here. Rat Food, hello, Rat Food. That's another wonderful name. Wayne Mallows, hello, Wayne.
Don't forget Michael Kennedy. Hi, Michael.
He was first.
Oh, he was? Oh, I didn't hear that. Sorry. Losing my mind. Okay.
And hello, Chris Paula Steen. Thank you very much for joining us. CT Guitar Guy. Christopher Harmon, you guys are so awesome, always joining us here each week. Scarlet Fire, hello, Mike. Thank you very much for being here. Catherine Fourfeathers, so many of you guys, so many familiar faces. It's awesome. Alicia, Kayleen White, Maggie Smith. Who else do we have here? Kason Lee, awesome. Julia Dow, Sleepy Howe, and Ryder. Very, very cool. There's quite a few of you here, so I'm just going to get this show started. All right. Well, you are probably familiar with our guests if you've watched our show, but I'm going to give them a little bit of an introduction anyway, just in case you aren't. Michelle Desrochers, wave Michelle, has been professionally and actively researching the unexplained and working in media for the past 17 years, with her area of study focused primarily on malevolent hauntings and potential non-human attachments or infestation. And she's considered one of Canada and North America's leading researchers. She's highly versed in many subject matters within her field and has expanded her knowledge to include UFO studies, cryptozoology, folklore and legends, and anything else that is deemed out of this world. As an international public figure, she's often called upon by the media for paranormal consultations, for television and other related media, and books months in advance. She's highly sought after, has a waiting caseload list of 1.5 years. She is the co-producer to the very popular and must-watch radio show, The Outer Realm, which airs live on the Paranormal Radio Network and the UFO Radio Network each
Wednesday and
Thursday, 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern, which she co-hosts with her friend and teammate, Amelia Pisano. And The Gray Zone, Uncensored, which she co-hosts with her friend and producer, Joe Montaldo. So that is Michelle, part of her amazing resume, one of my favorite people on this planet and off.
Thank you, Ditto.
And our other guest is the lovely Martin Rivera, an experiencer, researcher, and quantum hypnotherapist. He's been on our show twice before. And he has been studying the subject of UFOs and ETs for many years, and he's an expert on the technique of quantum hypnotherapy to help experiencers remember and process their otherworldly encounters. He's a certified in quantum healing hypnosis and past lives at the Dolores Cannon Academy in Arkansas, and is the co-founder of Quantum Balance, a healing arts center with transformational programs based on Long Island, New York. He also does past life regression therapy, which sometimes leads to a future life, which is so interesting. Does sound and light healing, emotional healing therapy, pineal gland activation, connecting with your higher self, meeting your spirit guides, accessing your Akashic records, and Reiki healing. He's also fluent in Spanish, and we brought him on to help us with
Sixtopaz.
Sixtopaz, that's right. He helped book Sixtopaz as well. So that huge thank you, Martin, for that. He turned out to be a hugely popular guest.
yes.
But Martin has also translated a number of books into Spanish, including Dolores Cannon's The Custodians and Keepers of the Garden, and many others. And he's worked with many people, authors and experiencers both, aiding them in their journey of spiritual discovery. And you can learn more about both our guests tonight by going to the links in the description. But this is a Q&A, so we're hoping you guys have lots of questions. I'd love to do a little bit of a review of 2023 and speculate on what 2024 will bring us. But otherwise, hi guys, and thanks so much for joining us this evening. Okay.
Yes,
It is a pleasure to be here.
absolutely.
Don't know about all y'all in chat, but I'm real happy to be here.
Yeah,
Everybody's so
absolutely.
quiet.
I know. Yeah.
It's become a new year so quickly. 2023 just slid right by.
Oh yeah, by the skin of your freaking teeth.
I know.
2024, be kinder.
It's going
Yes.
to be, yeah.
It was a pretty eventful year with the Chinese balloons going across the United States or whatever that was, and the so-called Las Vegas incident, which probably won't get too deep into, on the tail of the Grush hearings and the Peruvian mummy thing, and a lot going on. So it's a pretty interesting year. And if 2024 is anything like 2023, I think it's going to be a lot busier.
I need quiet, Preston. I need quiet.
I agree.
I don't think
That
you're
would
going to
be
get
great, everybody.
it. Don't think you're going to get it. Okay, so where shall we start, guys? What do you want to talk about?
Why don't you start at the top and just start looking for questions? I want to see what everybody's thinking right now, because we talk a lot, and it's open mic night too, with the fact that it's Q&A,
Okay.
and I want to know what's on their minds.
I guess Preston, as you mentioned, like this last year, it was huge for the mainstream or for people who's not into this subject, you know. So I guess it's in the overall, as I see it, it's like a huge disclosure, you know, for people's consciousness that we are not alone. That this, you know, the whole subject about the UFO and the ET phenomena is real. So for me, it was very, very positive. Whether you know all these hearings, all the mummies, and all these politicians and so on, I think it's one of the best years so far for the phenomena. Don't you think?
I absolutely do. I'm not too happy with the Grush Fravor Graves hearing, which felt like a little bit of a publicity stunt. But like you said, it brought so many people into this field who are
Yes,
now asking questions. It's being taken seriously. It's a new era for ufology.
exactly. Yes,
It really is. So I'm super
yeah.
excited to see so many people now having the courage to talk about their own experiences.
Exactly. That's my point. Because before it was everything was, ridiculized. Making fun of it. But now they see like whatever has been developing, but it's taking now another step in the serious stuff. So that's like I mean huge. Even for people never heard of. That's the first time. Like, oh, wait a second. It's not only us. That's how we raise up and growing up as this very now narrow mentality. Now it's like it's wide open. So for many possibilities, and life is out there, right?
Yep. All right.
Mhm.
Well, I do see the questions stacking up. So I guess we'll just go to them unless you guys want to mention anything else.
It's your show.
All
We'll
right.
follow along.
Well, here we go. And we'll start with
Let's go.
Mike, who says, I have had some very strange experiences. What is the weirdest experience either guest has had? Smiley face.
Ladies first.
Thank you. I've had a lot of weird experiences. I'm pretty fortunate that way, and I say fortunate not because I just want to be the odd man out, but when you're in the field of high strangeness or paranormal ufology, whatever the case may be, the more you can experience, um, the more you can feel confident in knowing that something's out there. Every time I have an experience, that doesn't mean it's definitive, but it does mean that I can keep looking into it, that I can keep researching it, and feel that I'm on the right track. So paranormal experience, or do you want extraterrestrial experience?
Yeah,
Because I mean, there are some that are almost one of the same. I have to say, the experience I've had
the
great
weirdest one.
experiences. The weirdest one, probably the one when I was in the haunted forest in Romania. That was pretty exceptional because I was outside of my realm of comfort. We were up on top of a mountain, and it was the night of a super moon, and everybody kept saying, "Oh, you're going on a super moon just to get more activity." I'm like, "No, I'm going on the night of a super moon so I can find my way out." And I get my butt handed to me. So I was very open about the fact that it was a lot of there was a lot of things going on there, and one part specifically, which was interesting because we went with one member of our group was very skeptical. And when a skeptical guy turns around and says, I don't think that should be happening, and you're like, what? And you turn around and you see it would appear to look like a tree line in the forest, just sort of like it was something was walking over it, and it was just folding down onto itself. So
Wow.
incredible energy, regardless. But when the skeptical guy yells it out, you kind of go, yeah, see right there, that's pretty cool. So then we're playing around with some equipment, and it yells out, go now, run. Well, I won't run, but I won't gracefully leave. But so we hightailed it out. That to me was a pretty incredible experience.
I think that qualifies.
I think so. Sure, we'll go with it.
There are lots of weird experiences out there. What about you, Martin?
Okay, I'm gonna try to make it brief, but it's actually all these weird events. It happens really in my place, and of course, when I go out there camping or going to a retreat, yes, I had all those. But I'm gonna mention one that it was taking place right here in my place, and then I was finished a chapter that was a couple years ago from Dolores Cannon's book, and she's like having an interaction, having a dialogue with this ET through the client, under hypnosis. And this ET
Wow.
start, giving information about, because Dolores was asking about when many people see these UFOs and they give like a light burst and they disappear. So ET replied, "Oh, that's why. That's the way the ships that are raising the vibration, going to another density or dimension, and it gives those flash." So that's what people see. And it goes along. It goes like, so this is very important for you, referring to Dolores, that you have to write down this and publish this book because we are interested in everyday people who can find this information. And and we really appreciate from you, because you're very responsible. You do not distort information. You always kept the way always come out. So I was translating that part, right? So I go like, because my wife was helping me, and I go, let's take a break. So we walked out the balcony, and we have some benches and chairs. So we just laid down. It was almost like 10 p.m. So it was summertime. It was really cool out there, and we live very close to the beach. So it's like probably like maybe 5 miles is the beach right there. So I was facing exactly, as the beach, where whatever it was, and I see these two like ball of lights traveling parallel, like very fast. Only took like 12 seconds. I pulled my phone, I thought I was like recording it, but I was too fast that the phone, it didn't really register. So I was expecting to record it. So I see these two ball of lights coming up. One of them stood above us, probably like 100 yards above us, and the other one took to the left, and it just went behind a cloud, because there were clouds coming at very low, low altitude clouds. But this one just stood up, up there, and we were able to see this cross formation inside this, light. The light was kind of like orange and yellow, and inside this cross symbol, it was like yellowish and like turned into other colors, but very slightly. It stood there for like 3 seconds, and it in front of our eyes disappeared. It just faded away completely.
I
All
love
right.
I love
Very
that.
strange. All right, Dolly, you.
Oh my God. You have to pick one. Okay. Because I've had lots of weird experiences in my life.
It's going to be hard for you.
Um, probably the weirdest one, and I've never talked about it before, so I'll talk about it now. I did not know when I was very, very young about light people, light entities. And I was with BT, and we were somewhere, not in the ship, outside on a planet. And I I saw one in the distance, and I'm just watching it, and I don't know what it is yet. I can't figure it out, and it's coming toward us. And it got closer and closer and closer, and then all of a sudden, went right through me. And I was so astounded and so freaked out that I fell back like the Leaning Tower of Pizza, and just went back. I was reacting to it. I thought it was going to hit me. It didn't. It went right through me, and I could smell it. I could feel it. I could hear
Wow.
it. And it realized that I was going to bash the back of my head, and it sort of stopped me from this much off the ground. And I'm just sort of like laying there looking up through this thing over me. And I didn't know what to do. So I pretended to go to sleep. I was a little kid. I didn't know what to do. And it started laughing at me. And it picked me back up and backed away from me, and excused itself and said, "I'm so sorry. You're so small. I didn't see you, really."
Well,
Okay. And it went away. And I was never forgot that as long as I live. It was the weirdest thing that ever freaking happened to me. And I realized that it's normal for people to react in ways that are strange. Like you think it's going to hit you, so you just throw yourself back. And I didn't realize I would do that, but by God, I did. And I've seen other people do it on different days and different things for their life. But that was the weirdest because I could smell it. I could feel it. I could hear it. And it messed with me. It did. So that's it.
it's a good one. All right. I'm thinking about of 100 of them, and I'm trying to narrow it down to just one. I think the weirdest was one I had with you, Dolly, actually, when we had just left visiting my sister's house, and we were driving along a remote highway in the Kansas desert. Not with the whole tank of gas. We were down to about a quarter tank when I realized we were on a road that wasn't going to have another gas station for about 50 miles or so. And or 60. We were 30 miles in, and there's nothing there. There is no houses. There is nothing. What were they?
Windmill farm.
Windmill towers. That's
Yeah.
it. And there weren't even other cars. I mean, there was nothing out there.
And it's
Occasionally, I think
110
we got
inch.
2 cars.
That's right. Yeah.
and suddenly I see someone on the side of the road. Now, mind you, this is 30 miles out either direction, and he's coming towards us. He's a black man with a Rastafarian hat, dreadlocks,
Yeah.
a tie-dye shirt, and he's pushing a subway cart down the side of the road. There's no sidewalk. There's nothing there, and he's pushing it along. And I could not even believe my eyes. We passed him pretty quick because we're barreling along. And I'm like, Dolly, tell me you saw that. That was just so bizarre. That was so weird.
That's
I
pretty
wanted to
weird.
go back. You're like, we don't have the gas.
That's weird.
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
But it's weird because there's just no way he could be there unless someone dropped him off out of a truck. There's just no way you could walk that.
He
It's
looked like
30 miles.
he looked like he was on a mission too, because he was literally going. He was running with that cart. I mean, running. And I'm
Smiling
thinking,
ear to ear.
where the hell are you going? It was amazing. Yeah.
That's bizarre. To
That
this
is.
day, I don't know what the heck that was. All right. So let's move on to the next question because, boy, they're stacking up. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate the questions. Here's one from Brian Morgan. And he is asking Dolly, I don't know if you know this or not, but do you know if the TR-3B is real and an operational craft? Happy New Year.
Yes, it is real. Real. I've seen one. Personally seen one. They are big too, and they mean business with this thing. It works really, really well. It is anti-grav, and they use them a lot, and there are a lot of them. They're matte black. They have that anti-radar film on them. That's why they're black. They have a central round light in the middle that changes colors. They can do different colors. And then the 3 in the points. They have an array that goes between points that they can turn on. And they're real.
Oh, all right. I agree. Yeah. There's been so much talk about them. And they've been filmed many times and many, many firsthand accounts of it. And I don't think it's just the TR-3B either. I was looking at another case, Dolly, which dates back to 1965 of a classic saucer with 2 little guys in a dome. And the guy saw it, and there were landing traces. And next day, there was all these army people around it. This is in South Dakota. And he's like, what are you doing? And we're like, oh, nothing. We're just watching for helicopters. And so we started talking to them, buddying up. He said, no, really, what are you doing? Because I saw this craft come down. It looked like a flying saucer, but the people in it looked like military. And he's like, well, yeah, that's actually what we're looking at. So that was a classic flying saucer. So we have all kinds of stuff out there.
There's also one that's rectangular shaped, and it's also black, but it looks silver sometimes as well. And that one can hover or go about 45 mile an hour across the landscape, and it's silent. And you don't want to see that one ever. If you do see it, go inside. And
All right. There's all sorts of fun comments in chat, but I shall move to the next question. Let's see here. This is not so much a question, but I thought I'd pop it up. I'm convinced that the balloons were some government psyop. I think that was what you're spelling there. I think it was all, along those lines. What would I call it? Propaganda. That's the word I'm looking for. Because they kept calling them UFOs. I'm like, these are not UFOs. What are you talking about?
yeah, they weren't UFOs. They were Chinese spy balloons, and our government let them look for whatever reason.
Seems weird to me.
Yeah.
All right, moving along. And Martin, this one's for you. And it's from Dawn Curtis. And she's asking, have any experiencers that have been regressed mentioned if the ETs are from our future coming back to change something from happening again?
Well, so far as I know, in my cases, not like that. As far as as a matter of fact, I had a session last week, right? And I was able to speak to this ET from a far, far galaxy that even we haven't even discovered yet, because there are thousands, millions of galaxies, right, Dolly? So I was speaking to this ET, right? And then for them, maybe this ET was from a higher density, because during the session, he was able to, it actually was a female, he was able to see through the client's experience as a human. And even she told me, "Oh, I can see through you as well." So when she told me I can see through you as well, I go like this, look in my place, and I go, "Oh, beautiful." And then the Ichi realized, like, oh, I would like to have, it will be fascinating to experience as you guys live as a humans. But then somehow he picked up about all these, the way we live humans. He goes like, oh, but you guys are having a hard time. You guys live pretty much rough sometimes. I go, yeah. And he goes like, oh, you guys are from a density planet. And she started making fun of me. She goes like, you do questions very slow because they don't have language. They have everything was telepathy, and they had these images going pretty fast. And they go like, oh, you do like pretty slow questions. So you keep asking me like very superficial questions. I go, okay, so I would like to know how's your economy, your political system, you have religions and so on. She goes like, you want to know how compare from our civilization to yours? I go, yes. And and she goes like, moving her mouth. It was like, oh, it's hard to translate to from this frequency because this frequency is very slow. It's very dense. Okay, hold on. And she started elaborating more slower. but then when I asked her, how do you guys sustain your bodies? Because she was telling me about pretty much the size of a 10-year-old boy. That's how their size looking. It was like pretty long arms, greenish olive looking. And then they go, oh, we eat like kind of like oatmeal. That's everything that we eat, just one meal a day. I go like, that's boring. And she goes, I know you got such a variety of food.
That's
But
interesting.
the thing is, like, and then she later told me, like, oh, but you don't worry about, because they say we don't have religion, we don't have economy, we don't have money, we don't have politicians, none of that. And humans will go into that direction. It'll take you sometimes, but you guys will get there. So they know pretty much, part of our evolution of those timelines will make it.
You
You
know
know,
what? I'm glad you said that because Dolly has said many times, no, ETs are not from the future. They can't come back. You can't change time. I have no good reporting on that either.
no, neither do I. No.
And I searched the literature looking for any, evidence that ETs are us from the future or from the future. No, they can see the future.
Right?
They can make
Yeah.
really good predictions.
Yes, that's
But
true.
so I absolutely agree with you, Martin, on that.
Yeah. I've been told by ET that yes, they can see the future, but it's mutable. We can change our minds about things in the present, and the future will alter because of that. The future isn't a set object because it has no form yet,
Right.
and so they
No,
can
but technically, there's no time,
right,
right? That's
exactly,
a human thing.
Yes.
right, right.
Right.
Once they're outside the timeline, they see everything all at one time, and I used to get confused about it when I'm with them, and he said, "How does it feel to you?" And he'll say, "Is it in the past?" And I'll say, "Yes." He'll say, "Are you in the present?" I'll say, "Yes." And he said, "So what's so hard about not knowing if you're in the future or not?" And or looking. Actually, it's not like you're in the future; you're looking at it. Somehow your brain realizes it's there and can intellectually attach to it, and and that's it's really hard to describe. And but it's
I,
mutable. It's not
right.
solid yet.
I
You
had
know.
another explanation, from, like I said, the type of hypnosis what we practice is, we able to connect with source that explains everything about, why was certain events on the person, like bizarre
Yeah.
events,
Mm.
experiences, accidents, so on. But then when they show them, sometimes they show them a future life. I always ask, what did you show him? Whether a female or male, what did you show him a future life? And many of the cases, like, oh, because he or she thinks there's nothing more. They thought it was the only life they ever lived is right now, but it's not. Life continues. Or some other cases, they hardly very few where they see, like, a very very catastrophe in the future, whatever. And I ask, like, what did you show me? Like, because she's engaging into fear, and the future is many, they're existing like many timelines at the same time. It's up to you. If you change your fear for love, then you will never experience this. But as long as they engage on fear, oh, the possibilities out there. The universe will, will show you, or you will experience in that timeline. So I was like, oh, okay. So they give me this chance for them to make up their minds, to question their belief system.
Mm.
So
Hmm.
a way to,
That's interesting.
to change, you know.
Mm.
Okay, now I'm going to bring up another question. This sounds like it might be one for all of us.
Mhm.
This is from Vivre la Vie. The question is it normal to run into a full body spirit? One that I actually ran into.
Mm.
Normal, yeah.
Sure is.
It's not abnormal at all. It can happen anytime.
I've
Sure.
done it. Yeah, I've seen it. Just
Yep.
physically full on touch them.
Yep.
For me, I mean, it gets kind of awkward if you're not sure and you see a full body and they're very solid. I've only seen a solid twice in my life. And the one time he was standing right in front of me and nobody else could see. I was standing with someone. We were talking to this person, and there's a whole group of people. It was on a tour we were doing. They couldn't see who we were talking to, but I did not know that at the time. So I suspected, as my spidey senses were saying, it's not real. And I just, I poked him. and I had to just double check. So I poked him and he just sort of looked at me and he kept smiling, but his eyes weren't right. That's how I could tell, is because
Yeah.
his eyes, they were just pretty much empty, like
Yeah.
Wow.
So you're not
a
looking at
grounded
us.
soul.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And he just looked at me and he pointed. He goes, "Is it yours?" I'm looking around and I realized he was talking about the tour. I said, "Well, kind of, yeah." And he just kept smiling and he smelled like limes and like formaldehyde, which back in the day, that's what they would do: put you in
Very
in the
cool.
ground, put some lime and mask
Oh my
that
God.
smell with some form of citrus, oranges or lemons, and that's what I kept smelling. So I poked him and he was solid. I'm like, this isn't helping me because he was solid. And that's the only time I've ever physically,
Wow.
so I was able to manifest that. And that's what, it felt like to me. And I've been touched by apparitions and such. So it's interesting how they can project the energy.
Yeah, that happened to me once. I didn't see him, but somebody poked me in the armpit.
Nice.
And I was in the room with the whole family. I jumped up and turned around, and they're all looking at me. I'm telling you, someone could, and then it would pull on my hair, because stuff like that. I was reaching out. I've only seen a full apparition once, which was when my mom passed away. But I've talked to a lot of a lot of mediums, and this lady up in Maine. You know who she is, Dolly. I call her Lynette.
Lynette, yeah.
But she says, she's a medium, and she says she sees them full color all the time. She can't tell if they're living or not until she walks up and walks around them and talks to them. And I wonder if sometimes we're seeing ghosts and we don't even know it.
Probably.
Right.
Possible. Yeah, very
I
possible.
see full apparitions if they want me to. There's a difference. Sometimes they're in, they're not wanting you to see them, so you don't. Even full psychic, I know they're there. I can somehow feel it, but not the full sight. And those that do, you will see them if you're psychic. And it's weird. And it's funny you said the smell, because they come up with a smell every time. Every single time. I can tell you who's visiting me just by your smell. It's amazing. Yeah.
I had one experience. It's pretty close to it, and I guess that's one of the two that I had. And I could, I'm gonna be brief again. I was in this retreat in Mount Shasta, and we were like almost like 13, 14 people. We rent this huge house next to a river, and then it was nighttime, and I was like sharing the room with two of my friends. It was a pretty big room with this kind of like cathedral ceilings, and it had these windows that you could see, to the sky, and it was kind of like a full moon, so it was pretty, light up. You could see everything inside the room. So I was sleeping in one corner, so we slept like in one corner of the room. My other friend and another, to cross the corner, and the other one making like a triangle. That's how the setup it was. So somehow in the middle of the night, I just woke up, in the on the wall that I was sleeping. there was the bathroom, and there was a closet next to it. So somehow, I don't know how I woke up. I saw the room, and from the closet, I saw this black shadow walking. Like very well formed. It was a female because I was seeing, her body, and it was walking in front of the bed and going towards where my friend was sleeping and taking the position where she was sleeping, like sideways, like very copy it and went through it. But I was able to see her, her hair, because she was like her haircut was like up to here,
Did it
and
look like your friend? I mean, could it have been her astral body?
exactly that was her astral
Yeah.
body.
He's coming in for a landing. Yeah.
That's
Wow, Martin.
crazy.
Yeah.
I went right to it. Was like,
Yeah.
what?
That's crazy. I love that.
Yes, but she was just to remember, But that was amazing. But I don't know how I woke up. It's like someone like just poked me or something.
Martin, you were
And
OBE
you saw
when
this
you did it. Martin, you were
Crazy.
OBE as well. If you were sleeping and just woke up, you were still OBE and you saw it. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Amazing.
So
Yep.
That's
Thank
cool,
you.
Martin. Very, very cool. Okay, well, I'm sure we've all had further ghost encounters, but we got 20 questions lined up. So
Okay,
let's
let's
move along. And here is one from Fun Talks TV. And this is for you, Martin.
thank you.
Fun Talks TV says, "Hi, everybody. Question for Martin. Dolores, meaning Dolores Cannon, used to promote manifestation.
Mhm.
Is it possible to manifest wealth?"
Yes, it is, as long as it's aligned to your life's purpose. Yes.
With a twist.
Exactly.
Yes, with a
If your
twist.
life purpose is towards that way, yes, the universe will provide. Otherwise, if it's not your life purpose, if it's going to interfere with your life lesson that you must come through, it's not. So, but everything's possible. So that's always open, So,
Exactly. I don't feel like psychic abilities are supposed to be used to, guess the lottery ticket numbers.
exactly. That's what I was going to say. That, yeah. Sometimes we know that sometimes, the universe or higher self or the source knows exactly what you need to experience into this incarnation.
Yeah.
So,
There was a lady at work who dreamt someone was reading out the lottery numbers, shouting them at her. She's like, "I'm going to play them," because she came into work. She says, "This happened," and she played them, and she won $15.
or something.
But I thought that was cool because
That's
yeah, I
amazing.
agree. You can manifest anything. It's really
Yes.
a matter of intention, and if it's something that will help you along in your journey of helping others and yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, as long as you don't hurt others. If you hurt others, you're creating karma. So
Excellent.
you got to
Yeah.
become aware of it.
Our guest Robert Peterson, who we had on a couple of weeks ago, last week, talked about out-of-body experiences. He had an experience where he's walking along and he touched a parking meter, just touched it as he's walking by, and it started spitting out all the coins. He didn't collect them up in a bag and run. He started desperately feeding them back into the meter. This is a good guy. But I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
I've heard of stories where people have money falling out of the sky, pennies and dimes, and
We had that at the other house. We had a film crew there, and they kept having, I think it was dimes or quarters. I don't remember, but it's never happened before. And the film crew caught it. It was just falling from the ceiling. And I remember looking at Wayne going, "That's never happened before. Why did they get the money?"
that's
But
manifesting right there.
it
Boom.
was, I know. It was really interesting to see because I've always heard of it. And the spirits of the house have never done anything like that to our knowledge. I mean, we'd find stuff, so maybe they did, and we just didn't clue in. But it was interesting to see it in motion, to actually capture it. It was phenomenal.
I want to write an article or do a study of that because I've heard of that before. There was a case I read about where everyone was at school in their classroom, and this kid suddenly had money drop down on his desk. Everyone saw
Crazy.
it. Ping, 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 just a couple of coins.
Yeah.
But Robert Monroe, who's the very famous out-of-body guy, had a pair of pants he called the money pants. He swears up and down that $20 bill would appear in the pocket. And everyone thought he was crazy, but it kept happening until finally he went out of body once and asked his spirit guide about it, and they said, "Oh yeah, that's, I forget his name, Joe or something. He thinks it's funny." So it's possible to actually physically manifest money.
You
Yeah,
can lose things as well as gain things.
Work your way up to some silver dollars or something.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I
gold
had a
coins.
case-
I have I can, we're in the third dimension. In the fourth dimension, there's a lot of people living in there. And I had, where I was living at the time, this person, whoever this person was, didn't like me finding my glasses when I wanted to find them. And I have a terrible habit now. I have 5 or 6 pairs of glasses at any given time because it will literally go through the house and take every pair of glasses I own and disappear them. And they won't show back up until I'm desperate and I can, feel its humor somehow over the thing. And when I was really little, I used to find $20 bills everywhere. And I always wondered what that was. And I used to take the money and put it in, I had like a little bag and I put it in there and I just shoved it away because what are you going to do with money that you don't think belongs to you? And I started having animals show up in my life and they needed food or they needed this or that. And I would go to that bag and take the money and help the animal with it. And then it dawned on me, oh my God, maybe that's why I'm getting the money. And so I just let it happen like that. But yeah, I know lots of people. This socks is the general, the washer ate my socks. I think something's taking your stuff. I really do.
You know what? I'm going to
Yeah.
mention on it very quick. I had a case where I had this male. He told me that he somehow need more money, to for his mother, and he said like he walked into the superstore, right, and the way he bought his groceries, whatever. He walks out with the card, and he found a fat wallet, like typical leather wallet, So he picked it up. He looked around. Nobody was there. He opened it up looking for an ID. No ID, and it was $500 in there. And he kept looking for cards. Nothing. It's just like bunch of receipts, but not names at all. So he stood there for like 45 minutes, waiting if someone come back to reclaim the wallet. No one. So he ended up because he needed exactly almost $500 for her mom for her medicines because
Wow.
somehow didn't have the money enough to raise it and exactly send it to her mother. So that covers her up.
Wow,
How's
There
that?
it is.
that's amazing. Now,
Yeah.
this is kind of an aside, but you reminded me of it. I lived in a house in Reseda, and I kept finding brand new tennis balls in the yard. And there's just no way this can be because I had an old lady on one side and an old man on the other. And there's just no way these tennis balls can be. And it's a tiny little yard, and everything's trimmed out. And after the third or fourth time, I'm like, this is crazy. And I still have one of them. And finally, I went to the neighbor. I'm like, I'm finding tennis balls. Are you throwing them into my yard? I knew she wasn't. She's like, really? Did you know that house used to be tennis courts for the house next door? I'm like, you're kidding.
That's funny.
They were manifesting there. And I think it's because when you throw, playing tennis, people lose tennis balls and cards and stuff. It's whirling at a certain angle and twink. That's my theory for why socks disappear in the dryer, because they're spinning into another dimension.
Yeah, that's always that's one of life's little mysteries right there.
All right, let's moving on. Oh, thank you, Louise. That is so awesome and kind and generous of you, and truly appreciated. You guys are so awesome. Thank you so much for the super chats. It helps so much. I cannot thank you enough. I am humbled. Thank you. Okay, we're moving along now. Thank you so much, Louise. That's awesome. Dawn Curtis has a question for you, Michelle. She asks, I've experienced paranormal movement of objects and would like to know if many people you have spoken with have also.
Quite a few actually, but not always paranormal. It's this little thing called psychokinesis, which occurs a lot with, pre-adolescent children, women going through menopause. We have a very strong energy. Sometimes I think people forget that we are very, very powerful beings, and projecting of energy, which some people call poltergeist activity. Projection of energy is quite common, more than people realize. Now, from a paranormal aspect, yes, I've done and worked with many families who were experiencing a lot of different movement, because I don't know, some researchers think no, that can't happen, but yeah, it can absolutely happen. I've seen it happen, myself with my own eyes. So, and I knew I wasn't at the projection state. So, I hadn't hit menopause yet, so I knew it was good, and I wasn't 12. So, but but my daughter used to actually manifest things, and she would call me and say, the statue in the corner is just like moving across the floor. I'm like, stop it. Just go do something nice. Just stop
You know,
it.
my daughter could open and shut doors. We'd all be sitting there. She's supposed to be in bed, and the bloody door would open and then slam shut. I'm like, Emmy, go to sleep. Yeah,
Say.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
You know, I remember when we were kids, me and my sister were alone in the house, and suddenly there was a big bang in the other room. And Victoria's like, who dropped something? And I turned to Victoria, like, we're alone in the house. And I got all these creepy feelings of spider legs walking down my back. We went
Right.
running into the room. It was our bedroom, as it turned out. And the crystal, we had a little crystal hanging on a string from the wall, was going bang, bang, bang against the window. I made her go inside. I wouldn't go in. And she went in and she looked at it, and we're looking around. Turned out our room was pretty messy, and it took us about 5 minutes to figure out that we had a plaque above the window, which fell and hit the crystal and made it bang on the window.
Oh, wow.
So maybe not psychokinesis, maybe it was. But I'll never forget seeing that crystal bang against the wall or the window by itself. Almost hard
Yes.
enough to break it.
That's crazy. I love when it's something I can't explain, but you have to go through the process of elimination. You have to look at all aspects, and if you're left with something that's got a question mark on it, that means, yay, that's potentially something fun, and you just dig in and dig your heels in a little bit, and
There's
see what you come up with.
Yeah, I was once in my condo with my friend Roger. I'm like, where's the pen? I had the pen. Where's the pen? I need to. And he's like, I don't know. What are you talking about? I'm like, I know. It was right here. And then, boom, it falls on the table. Like, Roger, did you see that? He didn't see it, and he thought I was throwing it. But I tell you, that pen just fell out of nowhere.
Wow. Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's weird. Okay. Why don't we move along to another question? And this is from the lovely Rat Food. Question. Oh, Dolly, I'm so glad that he asked this, because we've talked about this.
Yeah.
The question is, how does air work in an ET craft? Do they keep plants inside or create oxygen with a machine?
Okay. Never explained this to anybody before, so you're going to hear it now. The craft are biological. They have the ability to clean water. They can breathe for the craft. They have air. They synthesize it. You can plug a machine in, and it'll take elements out of the air and create pure oxygen. And it's not that, but it's close enough. The entity who indwells the craft, it's like his own body. So his body is breathing and creating oxygen. He's, circulating his veins, fluids in your veins and all of that. And the air is more pure, actually, than we breathe here. It's a little bit richer in certain elements for them. They need them. And I get a little not high like a drug high, but when I'm on board, sometimes I almost feel like I've got too much air. What are you doing? And he'll slow it down for me so that I can catch up with it. And but that's how they do it. They create their own air, and it's the craft that does it.
Yeah, and one thing when we were talking about that you mentioned to me was, this is one of the problems that the reverse engineering folks are having. They can't do that.
No, they
Not
don't
able to figure it out.
process yet. Yeah, they don't have the technology yet. Yeah.
Which is good news as far as I'm concerned, because I'm not happy with how technology is being abused. Okay, here is. You guys have any other comments on that?
No, good.
All right. Yeah, that's a Dolly question. Dolly question.
Dolly.
Okay. this question is from Brian Morgan, and anyone can jump in on this one. And the question is, the night my uncle died, I stayed in his house since I was with him when he passed. I woke up at 3 a.m. and saw an enormous black wolf-like creature standing over me. What might that have been? Whew. Brian, I think you would probably be able to answer that question better than any of us, but that is the witching hour, 3 a.m. And that is when all kinds of weird stuff can happen. There are spirits who can take on any appearance they want. There are wolf-like beings as well. So it's hard to say if this was spiritual or ET, but given that your father passed, I'm going to lean towards spiritual. Yeah, Martin.
All right. I experienced on my own observing or watching a wolf. Even I wasn't the only one. We were like 6 of us. But oh well, I get to the point. So not only myself, but even clients. I had 2 clients already who experienced seeing a wolf in the city, right? Just popping out of nowhere. And they were able to, because there's no stray dogs where they live, the suburbs. And then the other one was in New York City, and then they were like, they were pretty tall. That was the way they described them. Because it wasn't a different kind of dog. They say, oh, it was a wolf. And I remember asking these questions because another client, one of them, he was working in McDonald's, right? And she was like, throw out the garbage. And she saw like this wolf for like 20 feet away from her. She was like just stunned, And the minute just came back to take his phone, the wolf disappeared. When I was able to ask, when I put her under hypnosis, I was able to ask this question, like, who was this wolf? And he was like, well, that was one of her spirit guides. I was like, what was the purpose of this encounter? So she can believe that everything that she's doing is real, and she's always been protected because she's somehow with humans. We always live, disconnected, alone, But that's how it was manifested. He's a spirit guide.
Yeah,
So
they like to come in as totems. I'm part Cherokee. I'm Ostahatchee Cherokee. And when I was growing up, my great granny grandma taught that, and this was not his father's totem, it was his. And the boy that we're talking about here who asked the question, and what they'll do is they'll get your attention and they'll come in as the spirit of that totem, that's your totem. So he needs to like do some thinking. I don't know if he has a native ancestry. He might. I would wonder about that, highly wonder about that, and ask himself what he was thinking at the time. Why did the wolf want his attention so bad, and what was he thinking about his uncle at the time? Because it was trying to communicate with him. And
because
so sorry, Preston. Go ahead.
Well, now that you mentioned that, all the European countries have the big black dog phenomena where a big black dog appears before someone's death. I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you don't know. I mean, depending on the area that they lived in, a lot of people have sightings. Some people, Canada, they're called wolf people or wolves that walk upright. They have they're very highly intelligent. And there's tons of stories I've been given over the years, many eyewitnesses account close to where, I've lived in 2 different places, more common than people think. So did he live in an area where these beings were prevalent? Was there, did they ever have contact before? Like are they supernatural? Are they extraterrestrial? Or are they just completely supernatural?
yeah,
Like in general,
Yeah.
It
paranormal.
sounds supernatural because, given that his father had died. Here's a comment from Louise. I saw an old friend walk through my yard, but he was transparent from the waist down. Within the hour, we received a call that he had died the day before. So deathbed visions are also a very common thing. When someone's about to die, all kinds of people will show up.
Yeah. Well, I took care of my dad's brother when he was passing, and he told me he had never seen my daughter, and there was no time she couldn't come up there under those circumstances. and I brought videos of her so he could see her, and he was just, oh, I wish I could have seen her. And he said, I promise you I will visit her after I pass. And I said, okay. And I gave my cousin, we all stayed with him right up to the very, he was getting close, and my cousin wanted some alone time with him. He needed to work out whatever. And I said, fine, I turn it all over to you. And we came home. I wasn't home a day. And the next night, in the middle of the night, my daughter woke up and said, Mommy, who is that man? And I said, what are you talking about? And she said, I just saw a man. I said, really? What do he look like? And she described my uncle to me. And I said, okay. And she said, he told me he loved me. Could he love me? And I said, yes. And that was your great uncle, Bill. And she was like, okay. And she just went right back to sleep. And I have experiences like that. My relatives will come and see me sometimes before, if I haven't seen them in a while, and literally tell me, get here. I want to talk to you. And it's happened even with my daughter's father's father. He was passing, and he literally came to me and said, bring Emmy now. And I did. I threw her in the car and we went. And so
it must be amazing to have that perspective from the other side.
We all have that ability, though. I mean, if you open your mind and your abilities and work at it, you can.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I do want to take a quick station ID break because we are at the top of the hour. You're all watching The Lightgate. I'm your host, Preston Dennett. My lovely co-host is Dolly Safran. Our two amazing guests tonight are Martin Rivera, a quantum hypnotherapist expert, and Michelle Desrochers, who's an expert on ghosts, ETs, and all things paranormal and supernatural. We're doing a live Q&A tonight, so keep those questions coming. We are airing live on United Public Radio Network at 107.7 FM from the beautiful city of New Orleans in Louisiana, and also the UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 105.3, YouTube, Roku, Facebook. We've got lots of platforms. All the shows are archived. Please do check out Michelle's show, The Outer Realm, on Wednesdays and Thursday evenings from 9 to 11 p.m. It's an amazing show. I've been honored to be a guest a couple of times.
Couple. Oh, what, 7? Your family. You guys.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle. It's always an honor. All right, so I wanted to pop up this question, which is a follow-up to the atmosphere question, Dolly, and it's a good one. If ETs breathe different atmospheres, or if the ETs all breathe different atmospheres, how can one singular air supply be okay for all the species on mother ships?
Everything breathes oxygen. If you're alive and you have DNA, you breathe oxygen. It's just that whatever you're born into, there might be different mixes of other things in the air, like nitrogen, carbon dioxide, things like that. And we have polluted our air pretty bad. So the way I weigh this answer to you is this way. We're breathing cruddy air here. They breathe really good air where they're at. And so it is one oxygen or one atmosphere, the type of atmosphere that they breathe. The other significant issue is gravity. They do not have lungs as big as we do because they have lighter gravity. Some of them, the tall whites do, they have huge lungs. So do the tall grays, but the smaller don't. And if they come here, they're under our gravitational pull and stress, and it's really hard for them to take breath. So that's the difference. So.
Very interesting. All right, moving along. Here is a interesting question from Star Orchid 8. Question is, have you experienced a delay in time last night at the countdown to midnight? Mine was 17 seconds in advance. I haven't, but I have had, and I told Dolly about this, weird time blips where I'm posting on Facebook, and I go to post something and it's already posted. And the first time it happened, I thought, I must have just posted this. But it kept happening. And one time, and I'm very careful because I don't want to overpost and get into Facebook jail again, which I was recently. But it's happened, and I don't understand it. It's this weird blip. I don't know how to, I can't explain it. I'll skip the time.
We're under an electromagnetic field stream. We're in the thickest part of it right now. It is seriously thick. Electromagnetism can change your perception of time. And it's not that time disappeared or blipped, it's that it took you out and brought you back in suddenly. And it does happen all over the world. It happens near portholes, especially. People experience a missing from 1 second to even an hour and can't figure out what the heck happened. And they were outside the stream. That's how that can happen. We're all dimensional beings. Our bodies are here, but our consciousness, it can go anywhere it wants. And your consciousness is really what's recording everything and telling your conscious mind, your physical mind, what's going on. And it hears it as well. But your physical mind will blank out, go, dead. When you hit energy like that and your consciousness is still recording it. So yeah, it can happen. Electromagnetism has that effect on humans as well as everything else. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, I want to bring this up. That's why I never talked about this before. People say the ETs are knocking out my memory. They're not letting me remember. That's not true. They are in an electromagnetic environment. They are dimensional. They are fluctuating between dimensions constantly. And when you leave that environment, it derazzes your brain slightly, and your memory, your newest memories can go boop and derazz somewhat. And the only way to retrieve them, and this is why hypnosis is paramountly important to some people, because their physical mind just can't grasp it. Your consciousness knows. It records everything, and it will help bring that back to you. That's what's happening.
Okay, I just want to pop up a comment here from Brian regarding the wolf thing he saw. He says, it was standing up like people do, and my mother also was in the house in the same night, saw it, and we found giant paw prints in the backyard on the roof the next AM.
Well, then you met an ET. You got visited. And it's interesting as heck. Oh, yeah.
Not a dimensional bleed through.
Yeah, you got an ET visitation. Oh, my heaven. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it has the ability to shape shift any form, any shape, anything. So yeah, I had cases like that too. Not only like wolves, but any kind of stuff, even human looking. Yes, they were able to do that. Any form, any shape.
I agree. I
So
agree.
do you guys have any comments on the time thing, Michelle or Martin?
I've not had that happen personally.
All right.
I guess the whole topic really will take us pretty much almost like an hour, because it's so huge, this topic about time lapse, bleeping, timelines. It's all intertwined, and it's many different explanations about it. It depends of case to case, really. But yeah, I love the way Dolly explained it. That's one of them really pretty common. But the other one is like we constantly shifting in different timelines too.
Yes.
So,
I like that one. That's interesting.
There's lots to discover, that's for sure. Okay, here is the next question in the lineup. I'm starring all the questions, guys, so please be patient if I don't get to yours. I'm taking them in order. And this one is from CT Guitar Guy. Question for the entire panel. Why do you think some people like myself, who have never had any experiences, have still been obsessed with the UFO subject since childhood? Curiosity, something else.
Because you probably have.
Yes.
And you don't remember. That's why.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I think too, Michelle and Dolly, because that is one of the questions I always ask. Are you interested in the subject? Do you have a strong attraction to it or a repulsion to it? And that's definitely a huge indicator that you're a contactee, because you're drawn to the subject. And on some level, whether you're consciously aware of it or not, So
it's resonating.
Meditate would be my advice, and try to bring any memories that might be back to the surface. Okay, here's just a comment from Michael Kennedy. It's looking bad in so many ways. I hope I'm wrong, but a huge economic disaster is inevitable and on the path. Yeah, well, if we do our 2024 predictions, I would say probably a good idea to stock up on food and water and be prepared for a financial collapse, because they do happen. They absolutely do.
I want to remind everybody, we had parents and grandparents. The younger generations don't realize this, but my generation does. I grew up with parents and grandparents who who went through a depression and wars. And nobody ever had an empty pantry. It was drilled into me. You need 3 months to a year, period, the end, at all times, because anything can happen to you. And it's normal if you were living in the middle of nowhere and had no help from anybody, you would be stocking your pantry too. You would be working very hard to protect and take care of yourself. We have generations of people who have literally lived hand to mouth, uh, paycheck to grocery store and back, and have thought nothing of it because they think that's going to exist forever. And that's not true. And life fluctuates. You know, we have different times and things happen. And prepare, it's coming. That's exactly right. And there are a lot of people who are waking up to that and feel it in their gut. It's coming. Yes. So prepare.
Wow. All right. Here is another question from Simon Barash. Do any of you think abductions might be a lesson to us to treat life with more respect? First of all, Dolly, I know, doesn't like to call them abductions, and certainly most of the people I talk to don't like to, but I think every lesson, every experience is a lesson to teach life with
Yes.
more respect.
Right. Don't pick on one thing. You miss everything else when you do that. Don't wear, blinders or rose-colored glasses. Just
Yeah, I
Go
can't
for
say experiencers come away with a profound respect for the environment, life, other people. Experiencers are the nicest people you'll ever want to meet. They've often got a mission in life to do good. That's the kind of people ETs love to contact. People who are nurses and doctors and healers and musicians and artists and environmentalists and social workers and animal rights activists.
Right.
So I think that speaks to that to a certain degree.
And I think too with children, like they will make contact at an early age. For me, not having immediate recollection as an adult of all my childhood experiences, I've always had a strong love and respect for nature. I always loved being in nature, growing up by the water, spending a lot of time in the water, spending a lot of time in the mountains. I still love mountains and trees. Like I get sad when I see a forest getting torn down, make way for a subdivision. Like it hurts my soul to see things like that. So I think when you see this from a very early age, there's something that's more rooted within yourself. As I found out, that a lot of my paranormal experiences, the paranormal and my contact experiences were intertwined. And many of the people I've worked with in the last 20 years, at least half of them who've had paranormal experiences have also been intertwined with contact experiences. So,
I agree. Yeah, it's all connected.
absolutely.
Okay. Moving along. We've still got 21 questions lined up, guys. We'll try to get through them. Jim's asking, I've had 30 paranormal experiences. None threatened me. They have all been friendly or neutral. Why? That's a good question. Well, like attracts like. I've had experiences that other people would say is absolutely scary. Sasquatch and very close UFO encounters, and I didn't feel the least bit threatened. I think it's internal in how you view the world. If you are fearless, it's a positive experience. And there are people in very desperate situations who are still having fun and having a great day, even though they might be, having real medical issues or financial issues or all these issues. So I think it's all perspective and how you look at the world.
I agree with you.
100%.
It's either you act from fear or really act as an observer or from love. So a huge percentage of population act out of fear and even mix up, any paranormal event that, I had. This is very repeatedly that I had people under hypnosis when they tell me they had this paranormal event. It's like these, like I mentioned before, like these black shadows coming in and out on her houses, whatever. And ended up there were these light beings. And I asked, why did they see him like these, like black figures? He goes, like, because this person, he always acts in fear. So her mind distorted exactly what they are. They're light beings. They're either the guides or they always, just checking on him or her. But somehow our mind distorted everything about it because they are acting out of fear.
Hmm.
Yep. Fear distorts.
Mindset.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. All right. Let's bring this down to 19 questions. Janice Connett is asking Dolly, what are some of the spiritual things aliens have imparted to you? I have had such an overwhelming love come from them while giving spiritual messages. That's going to be symmetry part 2. We're going to cover a lot of that.
The very first thing I learned is you are us, we are you, we are one.
Yes.
We are all the same.
Right.
We are all in source together. We're all a conscious entity living, and it is one thing to not pay attention to it. It's another one to discount it completely and not pay it any heed whatsoever. So I was taught to keep my eyes open and learn everything. And the second thing is that love answers everything in your life, every situation. If you have a problem, think about it from love. Think about what love could do to handle the situation. There's different kinds of love. There's love for your children, there's love for your spouse, there's love for your animals, there's love for humankind. These are all the things that we have to think about. And it is important spiritually to remember that. And it's also spiritually important, I was taught, to be grateful. I don't go through life thinking that I own anything. I don't go through life thinking that I'm due everything. I am not. I am the arbiter of my existence, and I can be what I need to be, or I can be what I want to be. But you have to be careful with the balance of that, because sometimes you can want something more than what is needed, and you create karma when you do that. So that's another spiritual aspect. And the other thing is never, ever, ever turn your back on a situation that is going to harm you in any way. People talk about, well, people don't, how do I put this? I don't like horror movies. I won't see them. I won't watch them. I don't watch evil in action. I don't pay it any heed. I leave it completely alone. I'm not afraid of it, but what I am is proactive with it. If it comes at me, I will deal with it. I'm spiritually unafraid of that. You can't do anything to me. If this body ends, I still go on. I'm not afraid of you. And that's how we should understand spirituality. Really, don't do harm to one another. And if something comes to harm you, defend yourself. That's
Right.
what it means. So
Very true. Yeah. Yeah. Someone in the public, Scarlett mentioned like practice gratitude. That's awesome. Yeah. That's really a
Yeah.
great advice to start practicing gratitude on yourself, to start loving yourself, because
Yeah.
everything is in a projection of yourself. People, situations, experiences is your belief system.
Hmm.
Start looking to yourself. Yes. If you don't like what you see around, how you've been treated, change yourself. Do not become the victim.
Right. We are our own healers. Heal
It's
yourself.
the only thing you really have control over.
Exactly. Yes.
True.
All the people.
Yeah. And how you
The
respond to
whole
everything else.
contact experience is very spiritual, and that often gets edited out of a lot of the books and people's
Yes.
accounts and television media. It's a profoundly spiritual experience. That's what it's all about. So
Yeah.
it's one of the ET lessons for sure.
Right.
Okay, moving along, and this is kind of related. Just a Gen X dirtbag baby asks, do any of you have any informations or opinions to offer on a possible correlation between NDEs and ET encounters?
Wow, that's a great question.
I can certainly talk about that. I know Kenneth Ring wrote a book on the correlations between the two, and there are researchers out there who, and I'm not a subscriber to this theory, are conflating all these phenomena together and saying it's just one manifestation of an intelligence. I think ETs are ETs. A near-death experience is a near-death experience. But there are weird bleed-throughs. Some people will have an experience like a near-death experience, and they go and to the other side and see ETs. And there are cases, and I've interviewed a few people who've had this, where they're taken on board a craft and there is the spirit of their deceased loved one.
Mhm.
Happened to Don Anderson. He saw his dad. So there's very interesting bleed through, but they're still different experiences.
Right.
It goes back to what I said. They are us, we are them. Just because you're manifesting in a body in the lifetime that you're living, and you're an ET and we're human, Homo sapiens sapien, we're the same thing. We're the same spirit. We're the same consciousness. And years and years and years ago, people didn't talk about what we look like on the other side or who was on the other side. And now people are starting to see it. And I find that gloriously wonderful. You seen this? Go ahead, tell me about it. I want to hear what you have to say, because it's true. We're all in the same spaces together. And yeah, of course, there's going to be ETs on the other side. Of course there are. There's going to be everything on the other side. So, yep.
It's another example, like when I have people regress, when I have in the past life regression, and somehow they start seeing this ET life in another planet, and sometimes they see the end of that life, and I always ask source, why did you show me this life? And somehow it's related, into the person life, because sometimes they don't feel like belong here. Sometimes they don't feel like they belong to their own family, and they feel like kind of like disconnected. And sometimes they're like very new souls, they come into the planet. So in other words, we all really had past lives, and I quoting past lives because, as we know, time doesn't exist. Everything's existing at the same time. They having this experience in these other realms and other planets, really, and sometimes the souls remembers that interaction or that connection with these other families. But when they are, in here, this planet, they feel that disconnection sometimes. So, and for them, it's very healing to know it's you're not that different. They're always there for you, and
Michelle
sometimes
has memories. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
Michelle and I talk sometimes, and she bloody well knows she's not been human the whole time. Right?
You're muted, Michelle.
Yeah, we cannot hear you.
Oh,
We cannot hear you.
Oh, she's not muted.
Okay, now I'm here. So, I have had many memories, and I have a lot of really gifted friends as well. Being, I've spent 2 decades doing this, so it's interesting to me when they will come and just say, "Hey, blah 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 blah," and I'm just like, "Well, that's interesting," because I don't talk to everybody about it. And I've gone and had spirit paintings done by really gifted mediums who are artists, and they're literally painting some of my memory of my other lives that are happening. So I see it and I'm like, ha, okay. It's not just here, it's fascinating to watch your memories unfold with other people picking it up.
right. I'm going to rat on Preston. Wait a minute. I want to rat on Preston. He's a writer. He loves writing. Oh my God. He loves writing science fiction as well.
Poor Preston.
Okay. And when I was first getting to know him, I said, well, what have you written science fiction? Can I see some of your books? And he'd say, okay, sure, fine. And he started sending me these books. And one of them blew me off my chair because I realized that he not only remembers being there, he wrote about it in a science fiction situation, but he was writing exactly how it was. And it was eons and eons and eons ago before we were ever on this earth. He was on Mars, and he remembers being there, and he remembers what life was like there. And he wrote about it, and it freaked me out. I was like, oh my God, he's right. That's his catharsis. He's writing out all this stuff. It's great.
That's
It's
excellent.
my way of accessing that.
Yes.
And basically, just answered your question, other follow-up question, CT Guitar Guy. Yeah, we are living many lives. I suspect it's all at once, from a higher perspective.
Exactly.
So, very, very interesting stuff. And yeah, I use science fiction to access some of that sometimes. I amazed myself doing it when I'm like, wow, that story came true. Okay, here is another question. We're staying at about 20 questions lined up at all times.
Wow.
Okay. Kason Lee asks, question about Reiki, if I may. I see lots of people on YouTube doing distant healing. Do those videos have any effect? I think they could, but I would be wary of it because there's a lot of people out there who are grifters and looking for fame and fortune. But I think there's a lot of people out there who are trying to do the right thing and sending out healing energy. but unless it's specifically directed towards you, I'm skeptical. I don't know. I haven't really researched that. Sounds interesting, though.
Yeah, there has been experiments about it from Dr. Masura Moto that has become more popular. Even he passed away. He did experiments like that too, like remote healing and other researchers too. And some of them they had pretty good results, but it involves too the person's belief system to be open up and somehow it stimulates that belief of inner healing, really, because we all have that power, as Dolly was mentioned before. We all that have power. Sometimes we ignore it because we always been thinking like it has to be come from the exterior world, and it's not. You're a powerful being. You just don't know how.
Remote healing is definitely possible.
Yeah.
These videos are doing it. I don't know, but absolutely, healers can heal remotely.
Right. Yeah, everything's possible, really.
All right. Any other comments on that one, guys? I shall pull it down then and move on to the next question because they're coming in faster than we can answer them. And here is an interesting one from Moonstone Foxy. Have any of you had a ghost energy around you that was scared of you? I have one that comes around and I try to get it, but it runs away and hides.
Stop chasing it.
That's really interesting.
It's scary in the spirit.
Yeah, absolutely. I find it very common with children spirits because remember, spirits who are grounded, spirits on average are just people without bodies. Their emotions are intact. And if they were a certain type of individual in life, they would be the same in death. I find children would be leery of strangers. You go into their space, or maybe you moved into their space and you're a stranger to them. And I've worked with a lot of families who have basically wanted to coexist with their spirits, but they just, didn't know how to. And the children especially still acted like children. But I mean, there are some adult spirits as well. They don't want to have an encounter with you. So you come in and they are just going to back off. They don't want to be noticed. They just want to keep existing in their space.
Right.
Very cool. All right. I'm afraid we're not going to get to all these questions, guys. We only have a half hour left, and that's cutting it close, but we'll do our best. Okay, moving along. And this is from Rambo Ma 490. For anyone, why do some ETs not like to say who they are or hide their place of or their origin? Perhaps for their own protection. Because I have heard that where ETs will say, it's not important, or it's a place you don't know about yet, or you wouldn't understand. Yes. It can be evasive.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, they're aware of the fact that we can create craft that can go anywhere. And we've proven that. We've got two that had just crossed the bounds of our solar system and are out in real deep space and looking for things. And they know that they can chart anything really in our galaxy. And so, no, they're not going to give you information that will send you or probe right to them. Nope. No. So
some of my cases, many of them, they had revealed where they're from. Some of them, they say, oh, it's just like I mentioned before, it's a far, far galaxy. And sometimes they have names, yes. Sometimes they don't have a name for the planet. I ask why. They go, it's only a frequency. We don't name things like humans do, like human does,
Yeah.
So, but there are all types. Some of them they will reveal, some of them they won't. So, but they explain it to you too.
Yeah, I'm allowed to say where I've been. When I told the Grace that I wanted to come out and talk about all this, they said, we have to brief you. There are things that you need to understand before you open your mouth. I'm like, okay. And one of them is that I have the cachet, the carte blanche to say where I've been. It's up to me to describe how well where that is. And Martin, you keep saying this word, and I'm going to tell you something about this that you just somehow innately know. When I fly, I learn the frequency of every marker we have throughout the universe. And I'm very good. I have an eidetic memory and numbers on my thing. I remember sequences. And each one of these markers carries a frequency with it. And I can dial up to it. I can remote it and pick up the frequency and then go to it. And that's amazing. You keep saying that because We plot that way.
Yeah.
It's not like ascension and declination here, whatever. And they do plot out in space too, and they have to take into account the fact that we're moving and we're rotating and we're different places at different times. So ET knows this. They have the same issue with it, and they use frequency markers to navigate. Yep.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything frequency, yeah, different ones. Yeah.
Yep.
No doubt.
All right, moving along. We're never going to catch up, guys, but we'll do our best.
Yeah.
All right. Hi, it's Alicia. Empathy, love, peace for all. Thank you. I've had conscious encounters aboard a craft since 4 years old with no fear attached. Would hypnosis assist in learning my full mission here, or do we only remember specifically what they want us to know? That sounds like a good question for you, Martin.
It could be both. As long as you have a free will to really want to know, explore more, yes, because that's your free will. Otherwise, if you're like, no, I'm not able to handle it, that's it. That's, as long as you remember, that's fine. Or they could be either from hypnosis or like, Preston always encourage people, by dreams, by meditation. You can have, that subconscious of yours start opening up and give you little by little whatever you can handle. Otherwise, if you're really, really looking forward to find out more details, yes, hypnosis. And even though source knows exactly what you have to see or remember, because it won't give you more than you cannot handle it. So
yeah, I think when the time comes, you will remember, even if it's through using hypnosis, because you reach that point, like, I want to know. And you go see a hypnotist, or you have a dream, or you spontaneously remember.
Right, yeah.
We are autonomous beings. ET are autonomous beings, and we are not allowed to interfere in each other's paths. We are personally responsible for ourselves, period. Now, we're on this planet together, and as a group, we are responsible for the stupid things we do to ourselves here or allow to be done to us here.
Yes.
And that's important. And some of us come here knowing this is coming at us, and we choose the path of helping, or we choose the path of healing, or we choose the path of guiding. One of those three things, and how we react. Your response is paramount, and you have to remember that while you're here, your karma is number one. You're either going to get in trouble by doing something that you selfishly want to do, and it doesn't matter what anybody else does, or you do something that affects everyone and everything, and take your pick. So,
cool. All right, let's move on to this really wonderful question from Deleted Truths. What are aliens doing in the afterlife? Dolly?
In the afterlife, we're all the same. Honestly, we are all the same. It's like
coming from source.
Yeah.
Hanging out on the beach, doing loop-de-loops in the air, meeting with their friends.
Exploring, learning, you name it.
Yeah, so ETs have from what you've told me, Dolly, experience a very easy transition to it because they have a full understanding of it.
Yeah, well, they're fully conscious. We're supposed to be. Somebody made this statement to me once that you're born to forget here. No, you're not. You should be knowing exactly what I know. You should be experiencing the things that I experienced. And I don't know how I get so lucky. And I am lucky because not everybody is born into a situation where it's propagated and, you're helped along with it. I was. We all should be helping each other. You should let your children be psychic. When they start telling you, I see this and I got a friend and da-da-da-da-da, really tell me all about it. Let's enjoy this. And then practice being psychic with your children. They'll help goad you back into it. You are absolutely deserve. It is innate in your abilities. It's in your DNA. It's in your pineal gland. Yeah, go for it. You're supposed to know this stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Thanks for the super chat, Dawn. Thank you so much. That's very, very kind of you. Always appreciated. Thank you so much. Guys, I'm so happy. You're so nice. Okay, here is a question for me from Kirsten Corby. Has anyone, let me see if I can get this right. Has anyone done any kind of formal paranormal investigation about objects moving around by themselves? I've been thinking about that a lot lately. Oh, sure. Yeah, there was a case I was investigating of a haunted apartments in Van Nuys. They had objects moving all over the place. This manifests in all different kinds of ways. Objects moving, of course, footsteps, but doors opening and closing, lights going on and off, furniture, just weird stuff. Teacup might appear on the staircase, book might fall out, and there's the will inside. That I have a case where that actually happened.
Okay, so I want you to clarify, you and Michelle, because Michelle can talk about it too.
No,
Um,
Preston, go.
Objects
Question
themselves
for
don't move.
Preston.
Yeah. Objects themselves don't move by themselves. Something is directing that object,
Yeah.
correct? Am I correct in saying that? Okay.
Correct. Either you with your own psychokinetic energy or a spirit, which is a big deal for them to be able to do it, because it's not easy for a spirit to be able to affect the physical environment, but they can.
Probably easier for us, I would say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
You're
you're right
here.
about that.
Yep.
And that sometimes blends into the whole UFO phenomena, where people will have a teacup missing, and the lady went on board, and it was on board the craft. Dolly found her own brush, her hairbrush, on board the craft.
And my
You know,
mother almost killed me for it. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll put stuff back too. They'll move stuff around a little bit. So it might be ETs. But yeah, lots of ghost activity doing that kind of thing. That's pretty much normal when it comes to ghosts. And it manifests in so many different weird ways. Okay, here is an interesting question from Michelle Pena about the Mandela effect. Can you guys explain how the Mandela effect works? Thank you, everyone. I'm a little skeptical of the Mandela effect. I wonder about it, but certainly a lot of people have experienced it. I've experienced it a few times, but I don't know what to think of it.
Time slips, alternate realities.
I'm
Yeah.
going to make a statement, okay? And this is meant to guide y'all into really searching for the truth about this. Wherever you're at, whatever knowledge base that you have, whatever amount of accumulated experiences that you have, you yourself individually, don't let somebody else tell you what your reality is or what reality is. If there's a Mandela effect, prove it to yourself one way or the other. Figure it out for yourself. Learn about it. Exercise your mind, and so that you can come up with these answers yourself. It is up to you how you evolve and how you ascend in wisdom and knowledge. And I could tell you all day long if it's real or it's not. It doesn't matter. You're the one who has to figure this out.
Okay, we're going to jump into the subject. Michelle, you want to share something? Because I know I heard you were saying something.
No, you go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm giving my opinion.
All right. I was speaking before, about we always constantly shifting in timelines. I'm going to give you pretty much, a very simple, instance. Every time that we make an important decision in our lives, one of you split up, and so on, and another decision, whether you took this job and you quit, you stay in that job, but you took another one that you split up. If per se there's a Martin that never moved to the U.S., Martin's still living in Mexico City. That's another timeline. There's a relationship that I have with another girlfriend back in Mexico. I got married to that per se. I got married to that relationship, but I moved here, so it's already three of them.
I have dreams like that too, like that I made a different decision. I'm living in a completely different.
Yes, timeline. Yes, I had clients where they dreamed
You have
about
dreams like that.
having another spouse, or having, or seeing a dream that their parents die or something, but they're still living there. When asked during the session, the truth becomes like, because that's another timeline, and somehow they start becoming aware of these timelines.
Okay, I'm going to say something now. This is going to get explained in symmetry too, and I'm dying to say something now. Okay, I can only
Okay,
give
but
you
be
this much.
fast because we have
I know,
25
I'm going to
questions
do
now.
it fast. Every one of us is in source together, okay? And we know all things in source. There's nothing you don't know in source. When you come here, you're coming here to experience certain things, to understand them. That teaches you, period, okay? We are good at seeing 50 things at one time. We're good at pareidolia. We're good at all kinds of things. And this brain that we have, this physical mind, is wired to do certain things, to weigh things, think of things in a certain way. Timelines for a human being in the body here is not what it's really like outside where we're at in this dimension. You have to see it as you're the one who's living the timelines. The timelines are how you perceive them to be. It's really up to you to decide what life you're living, and it is not good. Or I'm not going to say that's a little harsh. It's don't waste your time worrying about what you could have done. Worry about what you're doing right now. In other words, learn to live in this moment. It is really hard when people start lamenting, well, I could have done this, I could be here, I could be there, and then thinking, well, I am. No, you're not. You are here, you're here now. And because you've imagined yourself this way, or you can see that it could have happened, doesn't mean that it's actually real or a bent off timeline. There is no timelines, they don't exist. That's the point I'm trying to make to you. They don't exist. Outside of our dimension, third dimension, they do not. That's what it means to come out of time. No more timelines, they're gone. Because you can experience three things at once, see the totality of existence does not make those different timelines everywhere. You're the one thinking that. You're the one experiencing it. That's how that works.
What I was referring to this is the soul will experience every single possibility that
Right.
in single incarnation and many ones, but somehow our mind cannot comprehend. That's why it's important just to live your present life. Yes, but somehow these events or these phenomena present to people. But
Yeah.
that's how source explain it to them.
Yeah.
The most important is this, but sometimes they see it because some people live in the past. What if I didn't move
Exactly.
to the US? I could have
Yeah,
done
and
this.
then you
And
lament
they,
it. It's
and
like,
they see exactly, they see
yeah,
it, how it's going to end it up,
yeah,
you know?
let's
And
not go
sometimes
there.
it's not the best option. So that's why they show it to them. Somehow they able to see through dreams or meditation or somehow. But
Right.
yes,
Well, I feel like since we live in an infinite universe, at some point, everything and anything is possible, and we will experience it.
Yeah. Human beings kind of like, you know everything in source, right? So you've
yes,
got information coming at you anyway, whether you hear it or not, but you can feel it because it's your source. Okay.
right.
One of the things about this that people are maybe starting to see is this universe is not the only one. We got more than one,
Or a lot.
lots of them, multiverses. And you can mentally go out to that. Your consciousness can go greet it if it wants to. It can experience it if it wants to. And I think that's what people are starting to get. It's a step up in your understanding of consciousness. So,
Yes.
okay.
All right, I'm going to pop this question up real quick from Moonstone Foxy. Preston, did you give your green alien plushie to Michelle? I noticed the one on your recliner is missing. No,
Yours is in
no.
the background. See
No,
it?
let's see, right
By
there.
the bookcase. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's back there. I see it.
They're her brothers. They're probably related.
Amelia, my co-host, actually made this for me for my birthday, and I like to move them around just to mess with everybody.
Yeah.
Mine moves by itself.
Preston.
I don't
It's
touch
pretty
it.
chillaxed, eh? Yeah, we're chilling. But look at the menacing one behind, like right beside him. Everybody sees that guy in the darkness. Just
Okay.
All right, moving on. We're never going to catch up, guys. We're going to have to do another Q&A. Janice Cunnan is asking, has anyone had deep, loving spiritual experiences that were so overwhelming? I've experienced such love coming from them that tears would come to my eyes and cry. We
yes,
humans need to know these now.
yes,
Big yes.
yes, yes,
Many
yes.
with the ETs
Absolutely.
and just spontaneous. Once I was driving home from Colorado and saw a field of flowers, and it was like just an enlightening experience. I cried for an hour just because it was so beautiful. I've always told Dolly, you know how I'm going to die? I'm going to see a sunset and just say, oh, it's too beautiful.
That's gonna be it.
Yes, it's serious.
Can't take it. Too much love.
I've had ET communication that's been extremely bring you to the brink of tears because it's just so unbelievable with the messages and the information that they're trying to relay to you. It hits you like, I can't even explain it because every experience for all of us is always different because it's based on who we are. But I've also had visitations from spirit individuals, and one that I recall was from a past life or another life. And I was on the outside looking in at this individual, like deceased, and it bothered me, but this person was beside me, holding me, showing me, and everything was light. So I woke up just like, oh my gosh, it was an unbelievably overwhelming and beautiful experience.
I've had a lot of contactees tell me that they felt a love like never before. Those are
Yes.
the exact words a number of them have said. So
Yes.
very overwhelming, more than, their wedding day or their first child.
Mhm.
Absolutely all encompassing.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Okay, well, here is a question which could take up the whole show, so I hope we can get through it quickly. Have any of you guys run into a parallel self or one from another reality? Dolly,
No,
you were
but
telling me
people
about
say
one
they see me all the time, and it's not me.
No,
Does that count?
I am solely who I am.
Yeah, but there was someone just like you once you as a little
Well,
girl.
yeah, this one got to me, but it was physical, not spiritual. I had my tonsils out the first time when I was 2. You hear the word I said, first time. And her mother was with her, and my mother was with me. And I was looking across at her, and she sat up and she looked at me, and our eyes locked and went, I was looking at myself, and she looked at me the same thing. And what I didn't realize was she was from the same area I was, and we went to elementary school together. And the kids started noticing we're identical twins to one another. And then we realized that we're wearing the same clothes all the time. We had to stop it. I had to talk about it. I even went and accused my mother, and she accused her mother of separating us at birth. Okay? I was like, "What is up with this?" And they said, "No, we all dime out a certain way, and whatever way the roulette wheel runs on our DNA, we can look like other people." And boy, oh boy, was she mine. And then as the years went by, I found out that I was a twin, for real, and I have a twin sister who's with AT, and I finally got to meet her, and that one shocked me, but it brought home something very important to me. We're biologically identical to one another, but I am me and she is her, and we're two different people spiritually. And it was wonderful to get to know her and speak with her. And I'm fascinated to see another one of me, because God help anybody who runs on us at the same time. But we have a lot of the same mannerisms, but it's our physicality that imply that onto our psyche as a physical being. And it blew me away. It just blew me away.
There are people who can
Yeah.
bilocate, and
Yeah.
people have seen what's called a doppelganger, which is basically them, but it's them out of body and they're still in body. So it's,
Projecting.
I think that might be. And I just saw a lady on Facebook who put her picture standing in front of an ancient painting from the 1800s. They look identical. It's really strange.
Yeah.
We do have doubles out there, I think, but I'm not sure what to think of it. Okay, moving along. Okay, what do I got here? Oh, this is just a comment about the money thing. I watched a quarter fall to the floor in slow motion.
Mhm.
Very cool. I'm telling you, I'm going to write an article about that one day. Okay, here is a question from Scarlet Fire. Question: 30 plus years of seeing non-glowing baseball-sized orbs in my late night bedroom. They give me a feeling like a very good feeling. They just float through and go into the wall or ceiling. Any idea what? Could be spirits. Yeah, I know that out of body can have very strong feelings of that sort of nature. This is a family show, so I don't want to get too into that. But
No, but I want in on that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the whole out of body experience does bring those kind of energies, so that could be related to that. Absolutely. Okay, here is a question from CT Guitar Guy. And if you want to email me more about that, I can tell you more. But, this might not be the forum. This is from CT Guitar Guy. I have a question for Dolly. You have said ETs are not here anymore. There are contactees saying that they are still being visited physically or seeing them in the sky and even recording them. Thoughts? Well, yeah, we just talked with Dave Scott. He had an apparent encounter. It can happen, right?
Okay, it largely depends on what's happening energetically around the earth. It is dangerous for them to come. And if they do come, it's a light gate here. They don't fly in here per se. They light gate in and then they light gate back out, and it's fast. They mostly send the AI, the little small AI grays. They physically don't want to take the chance of coming here and getting zapped by a CMA or something like that, and it destroys their craft. It is very, very dangerous to be here. They can also visit you OBE, and it seems real as heck. And then there's another phenomenon going on is the governments of the world are trying to make people think that they're seeing ETs. So you got to watch out with that. There's many different ways that they can facilitate this. It's serious, and you need to pay close attention to what you're looking at and research yourself. Ferret out the truth of what you actually saw. And I suggest that everybody starts doing that as a regular basis. Learn to understand what it is you're really seeing. Okay.
All right, very cool. I'm sorry, guys, the questions are coming in faster than we're going to be able to answer them. And we're wrapping up pretty soon here. We've got maybe 5-10 more minutes, but we still have time for a few more. I do want to pop this up from just a Gen X Dirtbag Baby. Thank you so much for the amazing super chat. You guys are just beyond generous. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Really appreciate that. Okay, here is a question from Janice Connett. When small grays who are AI, who is controlling them? The taller gray?
No, they're well, not fully autonomous. They're not sentient, but they have a programming in them that gives them a job to do, and then they can on their own go through it and do it. If they run into a situation where they don't know what to do, they will psychically contact whoever is responsible for sending them out, and they'll work at it that way. They are fully psychic, just like we are, and they can communicate back and forth with ET as well. So.
Very cool. All right. Any other guy? Okay.
Next one.
There is a question from Kira I Am, who has a very interesting experience. She experiences a strange phenomena where she's reading or watching a YouTube video and starts to drift off. I open my eyes and I am in a glowing white mist. What is this in your opinion? I've had that. You're going astral. You're starting to see into the astral planes. My opinion.
You're right. I agree.
Yeah, pretty much. That white mist, yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes they see that even when people experience past lives, yeah, sometimes they see that, very often later too. So
yeah, I saw that when I went to visit a medium, Brian Hurst. He would start doing his thing, and the room would fill with white mist. I'm like, oh, this got to be spirits. He was really good. I was so glad when he finally picked on me and told me all kinds of stuff. Okay, let me see. I suppose we have time for this. No, we already did this, didn't we?
Yeah, we already.
This encounter, you guys have already. So we already answered that, and that was in the beginning of the show. But we'll certainly do it next time. Okay. Let me see, what else do we have here? A couple of more super chats. Thank you so much, Janice Connett. You are absolutely beyond kind. Thank you also, Mark Z. Hammer. Very, very, very kind of you. You guys are just wonderful. So generous. I think we have time for a couple more. Right, Michelle? We do?
Oh, you sure do.
Okay.
I have it on good authority that you can.
All right. We're at 1 minute and 48. We can't go over 2 hours because it won't go into archive. So we're going to have to wrap it up shortly.
It will. You just won't be able to use it as a replay. That's all.
Right.
Oh, all right.
There we go.
Well, so the question is from Alice Star 1. Do any of you on the panel see orbs in your home? Yep.
Many times.
Yes,
All
absolutely.
right. I guess that's a big yes. There's spirits and ETs. Could be either.
Yeah.
Okay.
Guys, spiritual realm, anything.
Oh, I love this question from CT Guitar Guy. Let me bring that one up. CT Guitar Guy 85 asks, I wonder if there are other planets like Earth where people are struggling with life, each other's, not being taught about psychic ability, consciousness, war, etc. Dolly, are you aware of any others like us?
Yes, absolutely. 100% I'm aware of them. It is a rare thing to run up across people who are as shielded from the truth as we are here. This is a unique situation for us, and I become frustrated when I think about it. But yes, there are other up and coming places where humans or human types are developing. Yep.
Yep. So when people ask me, are there bad ETs out there? That's what I usually say. I'm like, yeah, there are people like us out there.
Well, it depends. Yeah, the ETs who are visiting us, please understand this. These are highly evolved beings who have the ability to traverse the entire universe to come here. And they've evolved to a moral and spiritual height that precludes the idea that they would be bad. No, they are not. So,
No, I think we're the ones that need to
Yeah.
really be examined. We don't play nice in the sandbox, kids. We
No,
just
we
don't. You know, so I think we're either a big curiosity or we need a lot of reprimanding.
yeah, we need help.
I think we're actually going to get through most of the questions, guys. So I'm pretty excited.
That is cool.
Here is one from Mike to Martin. Have you ever heard of El Grupo Azteca 2000?
No, never heard of it. I don't know. Sorry. I don't know.
heard of that either.
You always learn something, but I don't know. I never heard that.
I'll have to look it up because now I'm curious.
Yeah.
All right. I'll try to remember that. Well, that'll be in the comment. Okay, here's a great question from Linda Catlett. Hi, does anyone know how long it takes to clean a pineal gland after discontinuing fluoride?
Okay. Generally, it takes 6 months to a year. If you start practicing your abilities right away, it helps kind of work it through your system. In other words, it's a muscle or a gland that needs to be used. And so if you start trying to use it right away, it'll help facilitate it cleaning itself out. You also got to remember that you got to drink good water and food.
Take some melatonin because it usually lets off melatonin, which is what gets everything going. So take some melatonin supplements to help along as well.
Exactly.
Another factor could be your power of belief too. You're still engaging in fear, you're never gonna see anything. You have to become, balancing yourself, love yourself, forgive others, and so on. So you gotta become balancing with your emotions and start dwelling to inner peace. That way, that could activate too.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, here's a question for you, Michelle, and we're probably going to start wrapping it up at some point. Allison Carr is asking, has Michelle gone to distant planets on ships?
Well, I don't know if I've gone to distant planets. I know I've been on ships because I've got recollections of that. But where they take me, I have no clue. That I don't have any recollection of. That I probably would have to meditate on it, or, my life is like crazy, whirlwind crazy. So I'm just happy to know that they're just taking me off. And some nights I'm like, just let me fall asleep. I'm too tired. I have a headache. I don't want to go. And then I come back even more tired. So I know they've gone. So,
All right. Well, let's answer one last question. Then I'll give you guys time to talk a little bit about your stuff you're doing and maybe the new year. Here is one more question because we pretty much got through all of them. And this is from CT Guitar Guy, a fundamental, simple question for Dolly. This is not simple. Is there a finite end of the universe? And if so, what is beyond? What happens if you reach it?
I will be honest with you. What I know now and didn't know when I was younger blows my mind. So this is it. Our universe is infinite. Infinity, literally no beginning and no end. It totally recycles itself constantly. It's ever rebuilding. It does move outward, but it contracts as well. It's almost like a beating heart. Okay. And it is infinite. What's next to our universe are other universes too, above us, beside us, and below us, all around. And you have to ask yourself, what's up with that? Think about real hard about what that means. And it is all the same creation from one part of source. And ET believes all mind. That's what they call God. God is the all mind, and we're all part of that. And it is infinite. There is no beginning and no end at all. So
I agree. All right, here's one question I skipped real fast. I just saw it. Natasha Stone is saying, I often get light symbols in the shape of an angel. It happens before or during a tragedy. Is that a sign from my angels or higher self? Sounds like it. Yeah. We definitely are being watched over, our spirit guides and friends.
Light beings.
Yep.
are watching over at all times.
Yes.
I've
Very
seen
cool.
many different, not so much symbols, but I see a lot of beams of light that will come in. Sometimes I'll see a bunch of pastel colors, all brightly lit. There's definitely people watching out for you.
No doubt. Yeah.
All right. And here's one from Allison. What kind of experiences did Martin have at Mount Shasta?
Yeah, Martin, what kind of experiences you have at Mount Shasta?
Come on.
20 minutes. No.
We'll have to have you back, Martin.
Yeah, definitely. I want to hear about that. Absolutely. Yeah.
I saw ETs too, so it was pretty fun too, but very, very healing too.
All right. Well, we are going to have to wrap it up because we do want to get this closed up before the hour gets up. So thank you, Kira I Am, for the super chat. That is awesome. You're doing live astral travel. Thank you, Mark Z Hammer. So glad you love the show. Thank you so much, you guys, for your wonderful super chat donations. I'm beyond thankful. All right. So let's
Martin,
see.
what are you going to be doing in the future this year? What are you doing?
You asking me?
Yes.
What am I gonna do? Well, now I'm gonna move to a new apartment, so it's gonna be new vibes, and then I have sessions, which is I'm always excited, and I'm having my first baby, so that's gonna be
Awesome. Wow.
a very food conscious baby, So
Yay.
Awesome. That's a biggie. That's a your life is going to change. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm going to try to put out 4 books this year. I'll be happy if I can get 2, but that's going to be my thing.
That's a big thing. Then you have to come on the outer realm.
Yeah.
Yes.
What about you, Michelle? What are your plans?
Well, I do. I mean, a lot of people, there's nobody from doing television, but I have to say it. I semi-retired from that. Sorry. I do documentaries. I will continue to do that. Still finishing up one. I do a lot of consultation and creation of other shows, being radio or television. I will continue to do that. But for me, I think it's just continuing my journey and my evolution, which takes a lot of hard work. And I do a lot of research as well. I love to research, which takes away from my more spiritual time. But I believe in awareness and our continuity into the evolutionary process. And that does take a lot of work if you really, really want to do it properly. So that's my plans.
Very cool. All right, you, Dolly, in 1 minute or less.
I'm going to put out some videos for my YouTube channel, and still working on the light gate. And I'm in a big push to get my garden up and going for spring. And I'm going to be growing things and meditating outside and grounding myself and having a good time and talking to Preston about symmetry too. That's going to be hours of talking.
New book, right?
Yeah, new book.
Nice. Yeah. I forgot about to say that too. I'm continuing writing my first book too. So it's gonna be a new baby and a first new book too.
There you go.
Wow. Very cool. All right, guys. Well, I guess that's our show for tonight. You want to lead us out, Dolly?
Yes. Thank you, Martin, for coming. We so appreciate you, and it's fascinating when you're talking, and I love to hear everything you have to say. Michelle, thank you.
We love you both.
I love you.
Back at you.
Always. I want you all to understand that 2024 is upon us. I think that we should just put one foot in front of the other and look for joy in our lives. Seek knowledge, seek peace, meditate, have a good time. We're all in this together. Support one another, love one another, and we love you. We'll see you next Monday on the Light Gate. We're coming to you from United Public Radio Network at 107.7 FM in Louisiana, New Orleans, and we are coming to you also from the United UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 105.3 FM. Everybody who's heard us tonight, I hope you all have an excellent year. May whatever you need come to you. May you all be blessed. May you all be healthy, and may you all be happy. Night, night. We love you.
Night.